Legito will help you manage the lifecycle of contracts and other documents, automate document drafting, efficiently build custom applications, collaborate, negotiate contracts, digitally sign documents, and improve your performance. Each Legito component works together seamlessly to provide a powerful solution. Legito is a no-code, enterprise-ready, and fully customizable platform. Let's get started with a quick high-level overview. Legito Document Lifecycle Management will let your organization easily create document workflows. Legito will make sure that everybody follows the correct process. That includes internal and external sharing, approvals, document changes, and reminders. Document drafting automation allows your experts to efficiently build your templates using Legito's unique AI-powered template editor that suggests logical dependencies. Selections and inputs may be created contextually inside Legito Smart Documents. Data from Legito Smart Documents are automatically extracted. Legito Objects is a rapid, out-of-the-box way to build customized applications that meet your business needs. Increase your automating power exponentially by creating objects such as client and vendor management lists, tailor-made case management tools, property reports, customizable knowledge repositories, and countless other possibilities. Use your Legito workspace to collaborate and negotiate either Legito Smart Documents or Microsoft Office documents. Legito has all the features you would expect. Track changes, compare, comments, real-time conversations, notifications, and so much more. Use Legito Sign embedded into your Legito workspace to digitally sign contracts and other documents with your counterparties. Additional e-signature providers such as Adobe Sign or DocuSign are also integrated to your workspace. Legito tracks all events and actions in your workspace, as well as all choices and data in Legito Smart Documents. Legito then analyzes this structured and categorized data to give you valuable insights into your documents, projects, and processes. Legito is more than software. Once you sign up with Legito, you're joining a community. We want you to get the most out of your investment. We offer additional resources free of charge to help you get better acquainted with top tips and tricks to utilize Legito's robust products and achieve more with Legito thanks to industry insights and best practice advice. Our step-by-step interactive courses will educate you quickly to become a Legito Power user, and our categorized and detailed knowledge base will empower you to confidently tackle any situation. Let's connect to explore how Legito can help you achieve more and reach your goals faster.
All right. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever the world finds you today. My name is Mark Settle. I work at Legito in North America, and I'm here to present to you today a guide to Legito's integrations. So very excited to talk about this topic with you today. This will be maybe a little bit more technical user focused, but if you're not a technical user, please stick around. You'll see some demonstration of some of the integrations and some important information, but I'll also dive a little bit into the behind the scenes. The great thing you'll see today is almost all the integration things I will show are no code. Actually, I think all of them are. Our approach to integrations, you'll see, is really to drive the ability to integrate without code. You can do things with code as well, of course. All right, so let's jump right in to our brief presentation here, and then we'll get into some demonstration. So first, a little bit about Legito. If you're new to Legito, we are a company that's been around for about 10 years, and our focus is on an automation platform to help you with document lifecycle management or document automation. You can even create custom objects and manage workflow around those objects. And then, of course, we tie into digital signature as well. So we really are designed to work within your compliance, HR, legal, operations, procurement, sourcing, and other teams. Very flexible tool to help you build your business and do your business in a smarter way. And you can see just a few of our customers there. So since we're talking about integrations today, this isn't anything I think new to most people, but I wanted to at least talk about the power of integrations. Why integrate? Well, in today's world of largely cloud-first applications, We want an ability to tie those applications together so you can have enhanced functionality, have a better user experience, streamline your processes and workflows, and just improve your productivity. The other great thing is there are tools that are great at specific things, but in your business, you might need to have all of those things, and getting those things to speak to each other and work together is becoming a larger and larger focus in today's business world. So you really want to have this flexibility and scalability of the products that are experts at what they do. So what I want to do is talk about first some of the integrations that we offer, and then we'll get into demonstration of a few of those integrations today as well, and then talk briefly about what's to come. So first, a little bit about in-product integrations. So these are integrations that are built into the Legito product that can be enabled and used within the product. And they kind of fall into three different categories inside of Legito. First is working with documents, whether it is Microsoft Office or Word for Web. So when you attach it would be Word or Excel. So if you attach an Office file to a document record in Legito, you can actually open that up for edit in Word or Excel for Web inside of Legito and edit that document, and it will save it as a new version. So rather than having to download and upload any attached third-party documents, you can edit them inline in the browser. We do have a NetDocuments integration to allow you to easily send your documents to NetDocuments if you're a NetDocuments user. Around e-signature, we of course have our own e-signature product, Legito Sign, but we also integrate into three other e-signature tools that are kind of industry standards: DocuSign, Adobe Sign, Dropbox Sign. And then, of course, if you're using a cloud application, you want to be able to tightly integrate with your existing authentication and identity system. So we allow for integration to Azure ID, to Okta, Jump Cloud, and SAML. To facilitate tying into your single sign-on that you already have in place within your business. So these are all really configurable part of the product integrations that we offer. Now we have some new integrations, and these integrations will continue to build on this, but these integrations come and are facilitated by the tools that Legito already has. And so these are not in-product integrations, but they are integrations with other products that allow the products to work together easily. So a few of these that we'll show today that are new, recently released in the last 3 to 6 months. We have a Salesforce integration that allow you to easily generate simple to complex documents at a single click, and we'll see that today. A Zapier integration. So Zapier, if you're not familiar, is a tool that is meant to integrate cloud applications together. So if I've got, let's do HubSpot or Salesforce. I'm using HubSpot for my CRM to gather some information. I'm using Legito for document automation, and I'm using some other place for document storage. Then I might want to tie those applications together in a no-code way, and that's exactly what Zapier is. It's a tool to help you tie applications together. There's another great application called Make out there that does a similar thing, and we have an upcoming integration for Make as well. And then SharePoint, so if I want to automatically upload generated documents to a selected folder in SharePoint, I can do that as well. Now, to be able to have these integrations, the cloud tool that is provided needs to have facilitators for that. And so what powers the integrations that Legito have that are not built inside the product? Well, it's the fact that we have a very robust REST API that will allow you to control and integrate with Legito, get document data, push document data, get user information, set user information, and other things. So a REST API is a must-have in today's world of cloud applications. The second thing we have that facilitates is the ability to use our push API to call webhooks. So you can configure a webhook in Legito and tell it to trigger on certain events. And Legito tracks close to 40 events that happen inside Legito, and in those events, any of them can be utilized to call a specific webhook and take an action. And you'll see in the Zapier integration that's can be an important piece. And then the last is JSON integrations. And so this is a feature we released about 18 months ago, I think now. But this is a facilitator of getting data into Legito in a configurable way. And so the reason that's important is, say you're doing an integration with Salesforce, like our Salesforce API, our integration. I've got data in Salesforce that I want to get into my document. And without this JSON integration, there would have to be some kind of middleware that sits to correlate the Salesforce data with template data or template elements in Legito to perform a document generation. Well, JSON integration is a configurable management of that middleware. So if I have Salesforce data that's going to come out, I can actually extract that Salesforce data in a commonly extracted way for cloud applications called JSON, so JavaScript object notation. And I can upload that JSON file into Legito and then just simply say, hey, for this data point, and we'll look at this in a moment, for this data point in this file that comes from Salesforce, I want to link it to this element in my template. And so that's all just configurable once. I upload my example file, map it, and then I can have that middleware kind of run automatically with just a configuration file in Legito. So these three things are really what facilitate these integrations to happen. And so you can see we've released three integrations in a fairly short period of time as product integrations. We've got more coming very soon, and these are the facilitators for that. And even if you don't use an off-the-shelf integration that we provide as a product integration, these facilitate you building your own integrations as well. All right, so before we get into a few demonstrations, let's talk about more things that are coming soon. I mentioned Make earlier. It's similar to Zapier, a tool that allows, if it's formerly Integromat, if you've heard that name before, they renamed their business to Make. And it is a facilitator of integrating cloud applications together. Workday, Microsoft Power Apps are some other integrations we have coming soon. But I kind of, as I wrap up the slideshow section of this webinar, I just do want to make a comment. What does your business need as far as integrations? We want to hear from you. We're trying to provide integrations to our customers that they need to use in their daily business. And so the drivers behind some of the integrations we've already done are our customers and what they want. And so if you have an idea of something you need for your business to integrate with Legito, please contact your account manager, our support team, respond in this webinar. We want to hear from you the integrations that would allow your business to work better and provide you a better experience as you use Legito with the products that you already use. All right, with that, let's get rid of a slideshow and let's jump into a few demonstrations. So the first thing I want to do is I do want to take you to our integrations page. And so I showed a lot in a slideshow, but I want you to see that anybody can come in to our resources, knowledge base, and integrations is the second link there. And it will show you exactly all of the integrations that I mentioned today. So I'll have information and help on each of those integrations, and I can click through to those. So if we scroll down, for example, to Salesforce and click Learn More, it'll take me right into the knowledge base summary for the Salesforce integration that talks about how it's put together and how to manage it, etc. So great resource for our users. Also worth mentioning before I jump into some actual integrations is we do have robust documentation around our APIs. For example, if you are a more technical person, we do provide Swagger docs for our REST API, which they are going to give you documentation on every endpoint in that REST API and even allow you to try it out. So you can actually grab an API token from your Legito site, log in here to the REST API documentation, and actually make some calls to the API to test them out without writing any code. So a very useful feature for users. So let's get into a few demonstrations. So I'm going to jump. What I want to look at today is I'm going to show four things in my demonstrations today. The first, I want to show you the Office for Web integration that was recently released. So what that allows you to do again is edit a document, and this is an in-product integration and can be enabled on your workspace today. So if you don't have this but you want it, again, reach out to your help desk at Legito or to your account manager at Legito, and we're happy to help you with that. But this will allow you to take any document that you attach or upload as a third-party document into Legito and actually be able to edit that document. So let's do this as an example. So I've got a couple of different approaches I want to show you, and then we'll jump to another demonstration. So I said I was going to demonstrate 4 things. The other 3 things will be our Salesforce integration, our Zapier integration, and a brief look at our SharePoint integration. Let's look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go down to my demonstration templates. The first way I'm going to show you is just as an attached document. So I can go and create a document record from any file that I upload, but we do have some customers that want maybe to control a little bit more of the metadata around that and work in a very similar process to all of their other documents. And so one way that we've recommended they can do this is they can actually create a form template in Legito that gathers the metadata and might take some information, and then they just simply attach their third-party document to it. So that's one way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click create here, and you can see this is, hey, it's a third-party contract, but I've got a Legito form that's going to gather a little bit of data. So we'll just put in some data. We'll say there, I don't know, red table, always making company names up, Inc. And we'll put our contract date as today, and we'll expire this. We'll just change that to like 2026. And I don't know, give it a contract value and some summary. I don't want to do a lot of typing here. CEO. All right, so what we can do here is this is set up to be able to allow for uploading attachments. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and grab a file. And I'm just going to use this NDA as an example here. Open it up. And that's going to attach that file. Now, you've always been able to attach files. The difference here with the Office for Web integration is you can see here, even as the attachment, I've got an edit link. So I can actually click that edit link and open this up, and it will open up inside of Legito in Word for Web. So I can actually make some updates or changes to this if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to make a change here yet. I'm going to save this document, close it. We'll go back to our dashboard and refresh. And so now we've got this third-party contract here, and it's got my attached file. And so here as well, I can edit this document. So whether I've created a document record from a file or it's an attachment, those files all show up in saved files. And so whether I've got the Legito document open with the attachment, I can edit from there, but I can also edit from here. So let's actually edit it. Let's make a change. I'll just make some superficial change here. Let's just highlight some text. So this will automatically save back. So I'm going to make that edit, and I'll just close this. And what I'll do is I'll just refresh this. And what I want to show you here is a couple of things. So in my options now in that attachment, I've got versions. And you can see that it automatically created a new version. So I edited that file, made a change, and it created a new version. I can view the previous version, or I can edit the current version. That edit button would also lead me to the current version. So if I click edit, you can see this will open up the Word file that I made with the changes that I made. So this gives you a nice way to work with attached files that need to be edited just inside of Legito. So you can utilize all the functionality of Office 365 on the web for those Office-based files without having to download them and maybe re-upload them into a cloud system. So great new feature inside of Legito. That's a built-in product integration. All right. So let's take a look at Salesforce and the integration in Salesforce. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into Salesforce. I'm in the Accounts tab. This is just a demonstration site, so a bunch of fictitious and real companies in here, but it's all fake data. But what I'm going to do here is we'll create, or we'll look at the account page and we'll see our integration. So let's do this Empire Construction. So I can go into the account page for this, and you'll notice right away in the top right-hand corner here, I've got a Legito document automation widget. So this allows at a single click for a user to create a document. And what I'm gonna do is I'll run it really quickly and you'll see, and then we'll look at how it works and the behind the scenes. So if I just click create document, you can see it tells me it's creating a document. It created a document. I can open that in Legito. You can see it's created. Now Salesforce doesn't automatically upload or update my notes and attachments. So a simple refresh here of this page will bring back my actual document. So this is a very simple template example that I created for demonstration purposes. But if I click that PDF, you'll see here, simple PDF, but maybe I'm not going to get my PDF. Going to open up for me. All right, well, we'll look at it in Legito here in a second as well. We'll see it's created over there. But it was just passing the data through from Salesforce into that document. I'm not sure why I can't view it in that pop-up. So let's go back to our page here. We can see right away, I've actually got my form. It obviously passed through some data because it passed through the name. Here we'll edit it, and we can see that it actually created the form in Legito, passed through the data from Salesforce into this document. And I think I actually that's an Adobe plugin issue that's happened to me for opening up this PDF in the notes and attachments. So it attaches that PDF right back. And of course, if I want to jump to that document in Legito and make some additional edits, I can do that. I've even got a link here. I've already opened it up here. That link would take me right into the document record and allow me to edit and make any changes if I need to in this document record. So I've got a nice single-click way to create a document in Legito from a Salesforce object. So it could be, this widget can be on any page. It could be on my opportunities page, on my accounts page, any object. I can add this with a single click to create a document and attach it back to that record in Salesforce. So easy one-click way to integrate with Salesforce. And you can see it's very simple integration, but very powerful. Now let's talk a little bit about how this works. Again, this is going to make use of some of those tools that I talked about already that Legito has for integrations. But you can see I'm a Salesforce admin, so I can actually come in and edit this widget. So a typical user wouldn't see this. But because I'm logged in as a Salesforce admin, you can see here the configuration is all just kind of click through a wizard style interface here with the steps to integrate. So I get some options of how I wanted to upload the document, what I want to display, how it's labeled, etc., inside of the actual widget itself. And then I need to provide some Legito authentication information. So the server that I'm on, I need to set up some Salesforce settings to allow Legito to be in the remote sites that it allows. And then I need to get my API key from Legito, and I can even test that connection here, and it will tell me if it can easily connect to Legito. After that, I need to make sure I have a template suite. So this tab is actually mostly informational. So I'm going to go into Legito, make sure I have my template suite set up, and then finally I need to set up my data mapping. And here it tells you exactly what we're talking about here with that JSON integration and the power of that. I can download the JSON file from here. That gives me exactly the account data that's exported from Salesforce. And then I can upload that into my JSON integrations in Legito and build the integration. And then I can link it if I want to a specific template. So let me show you on the Legito side what that looks like. I'm going to go in this site into my settings. And I'm going to go to JSON integration. So a couple of things. For those that are new to Legito, you can see here under developers, I've got 4 different options. All 3 of these top 3 are kind of important for what we're talking about today. The first is API. That's where I can actually set my API keys and get those keys to use in applications. So in that second tab, when I was setting up my connection to Legito, it needs these keys. The push API we'll come back to, but let me go to JSON integrations. So here you can see I've got a JSON integration already configured for Salesforce. I'm going to open that up for edit. But what happened is I simply took the JSON file that I downloaded out of Salesforce and uploaded it in creating a new JSON integration. And here you can see that on these JSON integration, there are some of these fields. I didn't link every one of these fields, but you can see this field. For example, you can see if I edit it, it's linked to the template company information form to the input element in Legito called phone, right? And if I did the same for global media, you can see it's linked to the company name input. So I can simply come in here and set up a mapping between my template elements and the data as it came from Salesforce. And it's simply configuration. So I can download that example JSON file, link things up, and that's all I've got to do. No code written to link the data. And that's our Salesforce integration. So with that, easily one click, links to the data, generates the document, links it back into Salesforce, and then of course, if the user wants to go into Legito, they can simply go into Legito and provide any additional information if the document record didn't provide all of that information. All right. Let's take a look at Zapier and our Zapier integration. So as I mentioned before, Zapier is a tool for integrating cloud applications together. So they have a number of applications that provide widgets and ways to integrate with their solutions. And then you can build what they call a Zap. And a Zap is basically a flow of integration steps, but it's all configuration and click. So I've got a couple here I'll show you as an example. The first is one that's very simple that does document sharing, and it utilizes the Legito API and the push API. So it utilizes the Legito widget in Salesforce, I'm sorry, in Zapier, and the push API. So I'll show you what I mean. So I've got a Teams things over my tab there. All right, so I've got a Zap here, and you can see a simple two-step workflow. Now, what this is going to do is it's simply sharing to a specific user in Legito. So just as an example, Legito does have a robust permissioning system, but maybe I want to control some permissioning with a specific workflow, something that happens in Legito. And so this is an example of that. It's creating a webhook to catch an event from Legito using the push API, and then simply sharing the document to a user. So if I look at these steps, the first you can see is the webhook, and it's a webhook to Legito, and it can look at the specific trigger, and I can test the webhook. But then in Legito, I can say, well, what do I want to do with this Legito step? Well, I want to share a document to a user. I can set the account that it's actually, so this is my API key information. It's just configuration, right? And then I can choose the specific action that's going to happen. And the nice thing here is what this does for me automatically is I'm actually getting some of the data from the push request, and I just click and choose the data that I want to use to pass into this. And you can see it even ties into if I want to choose a specific user or user group to share with. So if I start typing, let's see, maybe I don't have another user in here. Let's see. I'm not getting a user, but that's okay. So it automatically will pull the users and allow me to select from those users. And then I can choose the permissions as well into the system that I want to give that user. And that's all just built into the Legito widget. And so there are a number of elements that I can have. So for an example here, if we go back to our dashboard and the document we created, if I were to look at that document again in the share window, then you can see that document's not the one I'm running this on. It's my contract agreement. I have this set to a specific document. If I look at this document I created earlier today in the share window, you can see it automatically shared with Chris Green when this document was saved. And that's not set up in the Legito share settings. It's just set up in the Zapier integration. So the Zapier is catching the event and then setting this document to be shared with that user. So if we look at the settings really quickly, you can see in my push API, I've got a webhook to share with Chris. And this is simply using the hook in Zapier. And then if I click edit on this, you can see I can set up different settings in my webhooks in the push API. And you can see this is set to only send this document or share this document when it's created or when there's a new version created. So basically on any save in a document, the very initial save or any save, it runs this push request back to Zapier, and then Zapier runs the actual sharing of that document here to share the document to Chris Green. So I can set this up and have it share any document, and I can have it do a specific template or only certain templates, and it's all just configurable in that push API configuration inside of Legito. And then the Legito integration in Zapier facilitates selecting the different events that can happen on a push request. So let's take another example. In this one, maybe I have data coming from another system that I want to automatically create a document and maybe do something else. So maybe I want to get an email when that's created as well. And so in this case, I just took, I didn't want to use HubSpot or something else. I wanted something simple. So I just said, oh, I'm going to create a Google form. And I'm going to create a Google form that allows the user to give me an NDA request. So maybe I have a Google form for a legal ops at my corporation that I want to just let them send an NDA request. They need a request. Now, there's ways in Legito we could actually do this, with a sharing of an input form. But in this case, we'll suppose it was already in place and they started using Legito to create their NDA files. So I've got a Google form here, and come through and fill out this Google form. We'll just say, I don't know, do our red table again. And we'll make up some stuff. So I'm just filling out my Google form. We'll say Atlanta, Georgia. I have to admit the Google Forms. Oh, and we'll say this is me. And I'm just going to put some gibberish in here, save us some time. And we'll put a contact in as John Doe, CEO. So I'm going to submit the form. So with that, the Zap or the Zap that's running in Zapier is going to pick up that form, and it's going to then create a document in Legito, and then it's going to send an email to me. And with that, I would have a document back in my managed documents, and you can see some of these other documents that were created here. And for some reason, I don't know what I did right before the demo. Now my Zaps aren't working, so I probably have a key. Oh, there it goes. All right, so I got an email come off screen. This actually sent me an email, and that email will actually let me open up that specific document that was created, and you can see it created the document with the data. So again, it's leveraging that JSON integration again to grab the data from the Google form and send it into the document. So there's all the data that came from the Google form. And then actually sent me that email with a link. Now, Legito can notify you. You could do all of this actually in Legito, this specific example. But I wanted to show you like Zapier's integration would facilitate integrating stuff that I might already have in place. So maybe I started using Legito and we had a process we didn't want to change for gathering data. Well, we can gather that data and we can still catch an event in that application, create a document in Legito, and then take some kind of action. So just to show you really briefly that Zapier integration as well, I'm going to come in and say I wanted to add a new step into this Zap. So I'll just say Legito. Type. And we can select that. And then you can see when I choose Legito, I can create, I've got different events that I can actually take action on. Create a document using the JSON integration, which is what I was doing in this one. I can create a file, create an object record. I can set user permissions like we were doing in the others app. I've got all of this available to me at just a touch of configuration. So again, no code, integrate between my applications because we provide this interface inside of Zapier. And again, similar interface coming to make.com very, very soon. All right. Finally, what I wanted to do is show you a SharePoint integration. And this is all just about pushing the completed file into SharePoint. So I've got a very simple example here, but what I've got is a workspace that I've got a number of different templates in, but this template specifically is going to send this document to SharePoint. And the way this works, this integration between SharePoint and Legito works is you've got an app that you install into SharePoint. And the app, when you configure it and set it up, you'll set your connection to your Legito workspace, and it will actually automatically for you even set up the push request that needs to happen from Legito back to SharePoint to save this document. So if we were to look very briefly, go into settings, we'll leave this tab open. Into the push API on this page, you can see I've got a push request here. This was automatic. I didn't even have to, as an admin, set this up. This was set up automatically by the SharePoint integration. And I might come in and change a few things if I want it to work a little bit differently, but I didn't even have to go through the process of setting this up. I simply set my connection in the SharePoint app when configuring it in SharePoint, and it took care of it for me. And so this is a similar to the Salesforce approach, but I'm starting from Legito. So rather than starting in Salesforce and getting some data, this is just sending the documents that I create in Legito into my document storage in SharePoint. So if I create a new document here, I can open up this document and let's change the debtor because it's going to be named based on the debtor. So we'll make our debtor, I don't know, James Johnson. And we'll save this document. And I'm just going to close that document now. Now it'll take just a second for that push request to happen and Salesforce to SharePoint to pick it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my SharePoint site here. So here's my actual SharePoint site. And you can see it just actually refreshed right after I brought this page up. So I've got a SharePoint site here with a document repository, and here's the document that it kicked over into SharePoint. And there's my generated PDF with the information that I provided. Now, really simple example document, but you can see easily at the click of a button, I didn't have to do anything in SharePoint, just automatically sent it for me, and that document is there and available for use. So I can easily integrate between my SharePoint sites and Legito for document storage. Now with that, that wraps up the things that I wanted to demonstrate today. The key takeaway we wanted to give you today is that Legito has a powerful set of integrations already and more to come. And even more importantly, underneath all of that is a technology base that facilitates further integration. So either whether they come from us integrating products for you at your request and allowing you to work in a more efficient way, or if you just as a business want to integrate your existing Legito instance with other applications, that between the push API and the REST API and the JSON integrations, we've got a robust tool set for helping you have your own integrations as well. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if there were any questions that came in. So I apologize for looking off the screen, but that's where my questions are. So I'm going to try to load those up and see what we got. All right, so two good questions here. So the first is, I'm not sure how you connect SharePoint with Legito. Could you cover this topic? So what I will do is I'll actually come back to our integrations page. And if you go into off-the-shelf integrations under Microsoft SharePoint, you can, and this is just open to the public documentation. So you can go to the integrations page and take a look at this, but this will actually walk through how to connect everything and set it up inside of SharePoint. So as you set up that app, there'll be some specific SharePoint authentication and Legito authentication that need to be provided to get those credentials. So all of the setup documentation is publicly available so that you can configure that inside of SharePoint. So great question. Again, I refer you right back into the knowledge base. All of these integrations we're providing, there's detailed documentation on the setup. The other question we had was, will similar options be available in Power Automate? That is a great suggestion. That is one tool we have talked about. When we talk about Power Apps in Microsoft, that's probably could be a part of that, because I know there's Power Builder and Power Apps, kind of two different things inside of Microsoft. So definitely something we will consider. Power Automate works as, like Zapier and Make, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't worked with it directly myself. So definitely a potential integration product for us in the future. So thank you for that question. I'd welcome any other potential products, again, that you use within your business that you'd like to see Legito integrated with. We want to provide tools that will be useful to our customers. And so that customer feedback is incredibly valuable to us. That's all the questions I had that came through today. So I appreciate your attendance today, appreciate your questions. Hope this webinar was useful to you to understand a little bit about what you can do with integrations in Legito, and have a great day.